Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Ruth.
Hello
How are
again.
you?
I am quick these days to say, yeah, I'm fine, but actually I'm feeling pretty tired today, actually. It's maybe got something to do with camping in the back
Oh,
garden.
yes, yes.
Still
Which
catching up
sounds
on sleep.
lovely, but it takes it out
Sounds
of you,
lovely,
doesn't it?
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's where I am today. I'm a bit tired, but was looking forward to chatting to you today. So that's nice for doing
Yes.
this. How about you? How are you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I had a bit of a weird day yesterday, insofar as I felt just a bit sort of like I wasn't managing.
Right.
Feel a bit better today, and that's kind of how life is at the minute.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a bit of what we're going to talk about, isn't it? I suppose.
Yes.
So this is another of our East Rocks wellbeing conversations, East Rocks conversations, and I am Ruth Coates, and I'm counsellor psychotherapist based in East Lothian. And
And
this
I'm
is my good
Lisa
friend Lisa.
Johnson, and yeah, and I'm a coach at Go Train East Rocks and also owner of Superbeing.
Um, and we, at the end of our last chat, what we were talking about podcasts, weren't we?
Yes.
And we mentioned that the next talk would be about books.
Mhm.
Yeah, the books that are kind of big in our lives or influencing us. But actually, as we were kind of coming to today, we thought, what's the most meaningful thing for us? What's coming up for us right now? And it was this. It was space. Um,
Yes.
and not space as in the final frontier.
Out there.
um, what space is like in the circumstances that we're living in just now. So, and we both have similar but differing experiences of that, and we all will. And we thought it just might be the most relevant thing for us to talk about today.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
What's been going on for you this week then in the terms of space?
Oh God. Well, I sort of my initial thoughts go from feeling overwhelmed, claustrophobic. Oh, need to get out, need to get out, need to get out, need to get out, need to get away from whatever situation I'm in, which is generally just dogs and children and are at my feet. It feels like there are a million rooms in our house. Please go and find one, not the one I'm in. So it's sort of that. But at the same time, if I kind of allow myself or can find the time to just, we had that wee analogy last week about, was it last week or the week before? Oh, it was last week when we were talking about the various podcasts about trying to get off the train that's going hurtling at a crazy speed to get onto the platform just to have a wee look.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing about trying to say, okay, well, why do you need space? Why do you feel overwhelmed? Why do you feel claustrophobic? And I suppose it's just about maybe in that very moment, thinking about maybe just stilling the mind a wee bit and just leaning into in here this kind, caring inner wisdom, that safe, lovely place where you're always looked after, not here.
Yeah.
This one in here, and if you've got the time and can get there, just to still that and listen in, because generally, if in that moment the answer is to go for a walk with everyone, then that's the answer. Just get out, change the picture, change the view, get off the wheel.
Yeah.
It might be getting onto a different wheel, because generally when I go out for a walk with my children, they bring a rugby ball and they fight the bit out. So that's a different wheel. But
So it's maybe not about getting more space, but it's a different experience of space.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it's the
Yeah.
change that matters. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I've been feeling it intermittently, I think, over the last, well, almost daily, I
Yeah.
suppose, over the last
Yeah.
few weeks. I'm sure it's a really common experience of people who are kind of living together with kids and dogs, like you say, at the moment, but just feeling like a bit of a magnet, like you. Like, no matter where I go, other people tend to be there. But I'm feeling welcoming of that. Sometimes that's all right, or it's just fine. No question.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. And other times, I've noticed a lot more impatience with that, and a desperation to have some time by myself. Even though probably before all this, I might have complained about not having enough space and time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that's like vastly reduced, and I am finding myself more irritable at times. I can flip into anger more easily. And if I stop and reflect, get on the platform like you suggest, I realize that's just because I'm not getting the time that I need. And it's not that that's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It's that we maybe
Yeah.
just need to be a bit more planned, a bit more clear, and probably a bit more demanding, actually, for ourselves than we maybe used to.
Yeah. So how do we do that? How do we be more not necessarily demanding, but how do we structure that for little people, especially? So if we've got little people in the house, how do we help them understand about boundaries and that space? So, you know, because you know what they're like. They're very immediate. They live in the very present mostly, and it's I think, I want, I do it now.
No.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
that they ever kind of go, oh yeah, dad's working, so I'll just wait.
Yeah. Well, what I've really noticed is that actually this really helps me give permission to myself to take space. And I suppose what we're talking about is that internal sense of space, because of course the physical space is different at the moment, and we want to try and get out where we can, depending on our living circumstances. But for me, this is about an internal experience of space. Can I think freely? Can I finish a thought? Can I finish a conversation? Can I get this piece of work done? The space to do that, or the space to relax. You know, that can have lots of different permutations. But for me, it's like what helps me is that if I, especially with the kids, if I can think that, understand that I'm modeling this for them. So I kind of think into the future and go, what I would wish for them is that they can ask for space when they need it and want it, but they're not going to know how unless I model it myself. So if I can, at my best, lovingly and carefully say, listen, I'm just needing 10 minutes to finish this piece of work, or I just need 10 minutes in the garden, or something like that. And then I'll be able to do that thing with you. But when I do that, I'll be able to really give you my full attention. And I think if you can clearly explain that, and it's sometimes not easy, then I have found that they're more willing to go, oh, okay, and you have to follow up on the thing.
Yes.
And it's that real give and take. And I think it's the modeling that gives me permission, because it means that actually I'm taking care of myself, and I'm also taking care of them for the future.
Yeah.
Does that make
That's
sense?
quite nice. Yeah, that's lovely. I like that. That's quite helpful for both parties.
Yeah, I think it is
Yeah.
about, it definitely is about kind of giving space to others that we live with.
Yeah.
And we're all obviously not, there are people who are having a different experience of space at the moment because they're living alone and spending a lot of their time alone. So we want to talk about that, don't we? We want to include that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's about giving space as well as taking space. And a lot of us who support others who are really good at that maybe aren't that great at taking space.
Yeah.
Give, and then burnout.
Yeah, totally.
Mm.
And I think what people who are givers, that I think what they struggle with is mostly is the permission. It's because you're always, well, because it's a pleasure to give generally. It's what givers do. But yeah, I think it can be it's a forgetful thing as well until it's almost too late. It's gosh, why do I feel like this? Why am I not on top of things? Why do I feel that like I'm not coping? And I think it's just that. But then that then leads into asking for help, which is in turn, I need to go and have a walk by myself.
Yeah.
Bye. And I'm not feeling guilty about it.
Yes. Yeah. It's giving permission to each other for that too. So it has to actually be quite a bit more planned than we're maybe used to, because it's not just ourselves that we want the space for, is it? It's the other people we share our homes with.
Yes.
But thinking about the people who are not sharing their homes, they're living alone.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's a different experience of space. It's because space can either contract or expand, can't it? Depending on our circumstances. And I guess it goes through that cycle throughout the day. But for people who are living alone just now, I'm wondering what that space feels like.
Well, Neil's mum lives on her own down in Norfolk, and we spoke to her the other day on, I think it was for Hugo's birthday, and we had a chat with her, and we were just asking her how she's doing. And so she lives all alone. She's got the beach and she's got countryside and right outside her house, so she can walk to all this gorgeous nature. And but you know, she has that. She has the dog, and she just said her exact words were, "I'm just fed up being on my own.
Yeah.
I see no one. I talk to nobody. It's just me and Lily." And she said that she had watched 5 hours back to back Netflix. And I know none of you will know Neil's mum, but I do. And it's the most strange thing to hear from her. And not only is it strange to hear that she watched 5 hours of Netflix, she also watched a crazy thing called, I've not seen it, but I had a wee look to see what it was like, called Prison Break.
Yeah. We're doing some really unusual stuff, aren't we, with our time?
So yeah, I just like, she said, if you had any recommendations, I thought, oh God.
In the same
We're gonna have to, yeah, dig out some gritty American druggy prison stuff.
Anyone got any recommendations? Please comment.
She'd be delighted. So, you know, on a serious note though, I mean, she's she's feeling her space has expanded in not a good way, in a way that she doesn't really. And she's an artist, you know, she paints, she's got plenty to do that anybody on the other side of that, so anyone like you, I, that have got children, animals, feel a little bit more that our space is shrunk.
Yeah.
You look to that other side and you think, well, what's there to complain about?
Yeah, and we can make assumptions about that being maybe, you know, there's the loneliness, of course, but
Yeah,
that introvert part of myself that really kind of longs for some long days
totally,
by myself, you know. But
totally.
actually, I think for some people I've heard from, it's really hard to be with yourself
Yeah,
for that length of time without the usual distractions of whatever, work, social groups, those things that make you active. So to sit with yourself and sit with that inner space that's opened up, that has its challenges too. You
I
know?
bet, because if you are a busy person who never takes the time to check in, and all of a sudden, there will be moments, fleeting moments, where you're going, "Oh hi, oh my God, it's me."
Yeah.
You know, you're not sure, and it's probably on the one hand amazing, but you don't know it yet, and on the other hand, it's scary, and
Yeah.
you probably don't like it,
Mm.
because Neil, my husband, sent me a little thing that a friend of his had written. He has written a couple of books, and he is a sort of business shaman. So he looks after people who run their businesses, and he's a lovely man called Charlie Jackson. And he has written a wee thing today, and it was called "What Makes Life Worth the Trouble?" And he talked about the two types of people. So he talked about instrumental, so people who place instrumental value on life, which is working to earn money, to buy the house, to buy the car, to have the holidays, which I would imagine is most of the Western world. And then the people who place intrinsic value in everything they do. So that is just appreciating on being.
Mm.
And I thought it was lovely that probably in this very unusual circumstance that we find ourselves in, that I would imagine a lot of us who are used to being the more instrumental, so the people that do because,
Yeah.
not necessarily because they're enjoying it, it's because I need to do this, because I have to go to a
And
job
that's endless,
in
isn't it?
order,
Yeah.
yeah, to pay the mortgage, to do this, to do
Mm.
that. And they're not thinking day to day, so they're thinking and they're excited that weeks and months turn into years. And so I'm just getting through it, just getting through it, just getting through it. And for those types of people who are now kind of forced to slow down,
Yeah.
and maybe it's a good thing because they're now valuing some of the intrinsic things, like going for a walk on the beach, maybe like seeing their kids a bit more, maybe, like just, you know, having a view of the life that they don't generally see.
Mm.
And I think that that is quite cool. I mean, even for myself, I am loving not being on that wheel as so much. I don't feel I feel a lot of things, but what I'm not sort of caught up in is the structure of what life was before this.
Yeah, you're not missing that.
I'm not really
Mm.
missing having to be here and having to be there and having to get kids at this time. But at the same time, I am missing some structure. But
Mm.
there's something in not missing the boom, 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 boom
Yeah.
as well. And that was that wee article, and it was just very interesting about just instrumental and intrinsic being, and I really quite like that.
You should please post it under the video when it's up.
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah,
send the
that'd be
link.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course, great idea. It's a very short little piece of writing.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Something you said there just really made me think. There's a intrinsic. Oh yeah, it's a kind of. It feels to me sometimes though like a bit of a luxury to there's a lot of stuff bandying about at the moment about feeling grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great if you can get there, and certainly there are moments of gratitude, but that turning inwards to yourself, which is what we kind of need, that tuning in that you spoke about, finding that space in yourself that is constant and is wise and is what do you need to tune into that.
Yeah.
Isn't that easy for people? The process of getting there isn't that easy. And I suppose what might we say to those people who are kind of confronted with that? Either there's so much going on, there's so much kind of kind of people on top of each other in houses, or so much space to people who live alone. Like, what might we say to help people tune in to themselves? What might be the things you'd advise?
Well, there's a couple of, other than, changing the view, sometimes it has to be that because, you don't have time to go, everybody stop what they're doing. I need to breathe. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
We don't have a freeze frame button, sadly. But how cool would that be? Yeah. We do have a pause game in this house, but yeah, it's that thing. We don't have that, but there are other things to do. So beyond, on your own, maybe you could possibly take the time and actually, maybe diarize it. Maybe it's one of those things, I would imagine that when you're on, Neil's mum's quite organized. So she gets up at the same time every day. She has breakfast.
Great.
She walks the dog. Then she has lunch. So she circulates a lot of her being around probably meal times. So it's now tea time. So what do I do before and after tea time? So maybe for someone like her, she could maybe say, okay, and now I'm going to sit between 7 and 8, and I'm going to either with a bit of help, maybe do a wee bit of meditation or some led meditation, or just been able to sort of sit in and breathe. And I think for people who maybe don't have that luxury, it might have to be bedtime when you're knackered already. But I think there's always the space to be able to take 5 minutes to just go, just switch into you. But other things like, so for me, I find cleaning quite therapeutic. So if it means getting your Hoover out, your kids are still there going, get the Hoover out, stick
Get
these
some
in.
white noise going on, yeah.
And Hoover! Like a mad thing. And the other thing I was laughing at today was I get into the shower and the kids were still coming into the bathroom. Mommy, he's doing this and he's not being nice. And so I started to sing. So I'm buck naked in the shower, singing my head off. They think I'm a weirdo and they leave.
Great advice, Lisa.
Yeah.
Just be a weirdo.
Just be a weirdo. Your kids will be so embarrassed. They'll be like, oh my God.
Just be repellent to people.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Until, in all seriousness, you can get a moment, and it could only be 5 minutes.
I think those small opportunities of respite throughout the day are really important. I mean, we're not going to get 2 hours, are we? In the circumstances that we're in. But yeah, just kind of buying those chunks and maybe planning them out. Absolutely. And for me, just going back to what my kind of pointers would be, it's about kind of getting really verbal and clear about our boundaries. tuning into what we need, even if that's like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, shutting yourself in the bathroom for 10 deep breaths, and then figuring out what it is that you need to say when you go back and to that room of people.
Yeah, and I also we
like
had a chat with the kids, and just coming back to helping them negotiate, you know, if you've got siblings, their space with each other. Because I know that I've got boys, so I've got two boys, and they don't necessarily either understand or respect each other's space. So I've told them that their bedrooms are their safe place, insofar as that if they're in it, the other sibling has to knock, and if they're welcome, they will be asked to come on in. If they're not welcome, they have to leave them alone.
So just a kind of question then, can you do that for yourself?
I laugh. Clear off. Yes, why the hell not?
See, so what's been on my mind as we've been talking today is a bit about self-compassion, and I think this is probably what it boils down to for me, and what's been around for this last week or two, is that can we treat ourselves the way we would treat our beloved child or our dearest friend?
No.
Can we offer ourselves what in that moment we're so able to offer those people? And so when you're talking about that example about you really like modeling that brilliant, you know, that's your safe space. You need to be courteous and polite and honor that if people are wanting time by themselves. It's like, well, okay, you can really offer that to the people you love. Can you do that to yourself?
Yeah, I know. It's that thing, isn't it, though, of not being able to see ourselves as in my case, the 8 and the 11-year-old. Because little Lisa is probably crying out for that too. It's just big Lisa with the head.
Yeah.
You know, of the sort of the head gets in the way of all our little people that are in here.
Yeah. I find that quite a useful guide, actually, though, just kind of saying, okay, so what would I tell my dearest friend in this situation? And probably have a whole load of advice for them. and maybe just listening to that a bit, kind of trying to offer myself that. Yeah.
It's a great tip.
You've
really
had a good
nice.
view as well. It's been really nice to talk. I feel quite calm just talking about it. I feel like this has been space, actually.
Well, it's been lovely, because I don't know about you, and I've seen you doing it, but I don't know if you've been conscious of it, that during our conversation, I've been taking big inhales.
Yeah.
And that's really nice. That's just letting it all out. This feels quite nourishing. And also, you know, I feel a bit topped up now. I feel topped up, so I can I feel like I've got a little bit of body armor in a good way.
Yeah.
I'll fight the rest of the day until bedtime.
Well, I guess we've made space for ourselves, just to finish off, you know, because I'm in a room where it's really clear to the rest of my household that they're not to come in for the time that I'm in here. And the noise levels need to be low, you know, things like that. So it's possible. We've made it possible. Yeah.
There you go.
Great.
There you go, folks. Stick some earphones in, say I need 10 minutes.
That's great as well, though. People don't talk to you and you got earphones.
No, this was my dissertation about when I was at university, the whole business of headphones and how it has this kind of I'm not available
barrier. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. It's interesting.
Lovely.
Well, Ruth, until next time.
Yeah, we've had a wee request, haven't we, to discuss sleep. So if anyone else is keen for that, then do let us know, or any other ideas as well. We're all ears.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring it
Lovely.
on. All right. Have a lovely weekend.
Yeah, you
See
too.
you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.